Minister Ahn, thank you for hosting the 57th Security Consultative Meeting and for hosting our trip to the JSA. It was my first time in Seoul as Secretary of War, and it's an honor to be here at a critical moment in the history of the U.S.-ROK alliance. Of course, we face, as we both acknowledge, a dangerous security environment, but our alliance is stronger than ever before, 72 years strong. And during the Security Consultative Meeting, Minister Ahn and I agreed to remain clear-eyed about the threats that we face. And that's why we have to continue, as we do every single day. As we saw at the DMZ with Korean and U.S. troops stand shoulder to shoulder working together. We need to increase our defense cooperation by taking a common sense approach that is grounded in realism, building on the strong leadership of our presidents, President Trump and President Lee. And President Trump wants allies to be strong. And the Republic of Korea is a model ally. Minister Ahn and I discussed practical steps that we can take to modernize the alliance. And I'm greatly encouraged by Minister Ahn's commitment to increase defense spending and to make greater investments in ROK military capabilities. This includes critical missile defense and space capabilities that our forces need to preserve the peace and prevail, God forbid, in war. We agreed that these investments would accelerate the ROK's ability to lead its conventional deterrence and defense against North Korea. And Minister Ahn and I also discussed strengthening our readiness by energizing our defense industrial cooperation across the alliance. For the first time in history, we agreed to demonstrate the ability to maintain and repair U.S. warships here in Korea. And doing this will harness this country's world-class shipbuilding capabilities. Maintaining warships in theater will also ensure our most lethal capabilities remain ready to respond to any crisis. Soon, we also plan to expand our cooperation to maintaining ground equipment in Korea as well. And doing this work in peacetime keeps our forces ready and it keeps them combat credible. Minister Ahn and I also agreed on the value of having our defense research labs and scientists work more closely together. And this cooperation ensures our warfighters have the most advanced and lethal technologies. Our historic alliance is stronger than ever before and is vital to the Asia-Pacific. I'm confident that we will continue to lead the region toward a more safe and secure future. So thank you again, Minister Ahn, a friend and an ally, and thank you for spending this day with us.
First question is, what were the differences in the stances between the two countries in the joint communique? Second question is regarding the nuclear-powered submarine. I assume there had been a conversation about the fuels of nuclear-powered submarine during the Security Consultative Meeting. What does U.S. expect? What role does U.S. expect the submarines in the Korean Peninsula and Indo-Pacific to play? What role do you expect them to play? The third question is about the approval of President Donald Trump on the provision of fuels for nuclear-powered submarines. So I want to ask what exactly those approvals were made on. So are the approvals made so that the ships could be built in Korea but can get the fuels from the United States? Or are the Korean shipbuilders expected to build their ships in the U.S. territory?
Well, I would just start by saying it was not about differences. There are no differences. I think what you see is a historic deal that President Trump is the deal maker in chief. He opens up possibilities that other presidents do not. And so I think his historic meeting with President Lee created new opportunities that led to sort of an expansion of what that deal looks like, which includes our communique. And so we feel very confident about what we've included, and as soon as that deal sheet comes out, the communique is coming out as well. So there's no daylight in differences. There's simply a bigger deal, which takes a little bit more time, and we anticipate will be solidified. The next one is on nuclear-powered submarines. We're going to work closely with the Department of State and the Department of Energy to fulfill President Trump's commitment in a deliberate manner. And I think it's a reflection of something I said, that the President wants allies to be strong. He wants our allies to have the best capabilities. And because Korea has been a model ally, he's open to opportunities like that that ensure they have the best capabilities in their own defense and alongside us as allies. And then as far as the details of approval, that's a little bit outside my lane, so I'm happy to not have to necessarily deal with every aspect of how that gets negotiated. But the good faith talks, good faith discussions. The thing is Korea has an incredible shipbuilding industry, which we look forward to partnering with a lot more, whether it's surface warfare, submarines. So there's going to be a great deal to be made, and I think it'll be mutually beneficial to both countries.
In the spirit of Kachi Kapsada, I've got a question for each of you. For the Secretary, in May, the ROK Defense Ministry said U.S. forces in Korea are for the defense of the peninsula. The joint statement by the chairman yesterday mentions the deterrence beyond the Korean peninsula. Can you comment, based on the consultations today, on whether U.S. forces in Korea can be used, if needed, for military operations against China in the Taiwan Strait, South China Sea, or East China Sea? And for the minister, in January, the U.S. Energy Department placed South Korea on its sensitive countries list over concerns and public statements about developing nuclear weapons. Do you support South Korea building its own nuclear weapons, or if not, would you favor allowing U.S. tactical nuclear weapons to be deployed on the peninsula?
Thank you for the question. There was a reason why, and it was fitting that we went to the DMZ yesterday. It reminds you of the core of this alliance, that ultimately it's holding the line and protecting our ally from the DPRK is what we have been and continue to be oriented on. But there's no doubt, flexibility for regional contingencies is something we would take a look at, but we are focused on standing by our allies here and ensuring the threat of the DPRK is not a threat to the Republic of Korea, and certainly continue to extend nuclear deterrence as we have before. So we stand by our allies. There are also a lot of threats in the world which we're prepared for. And we've had a lot of good faith conversations, but centered around ensuring that the ROC is able to, as we move forward, work with them, lead the conventional defense here on the peninsula against North Korea.